secret safe tonight? And are we out of sight? Or will our world come tumbling down? Will they find our hiding place? Is this our last embrace? Or will the walls start caving in?
Ow! Who is this fiery red invader? Marching in relentless armies, ready to conquer all in its path.
Ants aren't just pesky little bugs that bite you whenever you try to jump into a pile of leaves, but they're actually detrimental to the Texas ecosystem. But before we can get into that, let's give you a little background first.
In this lesson, students will be able to learn about fire ants, more broadly invasive species as a whole, and how to deter them and their effects on the ecosystem, with fun demonstrations and connections to help students understand the negative effects of invasive species and how to deter the natural balance in an ecosystem. At the end of the lesson, students will be able to understand 3 things. First, invasive species and their effects on the environment, as well as how they were introduced, why they were uncontrollable, and how they impacted the ecosystem. Second, understand food webs and food chains and how the balance in an ecosystem is affected by the decrease or increase in the population of a species. And third, identify methods to prevent the causes of these distributions and understand the methods that can or could be used to possibly influence these problems.
Within an ecosystem, organisms are able to act in different ways that impact the natural cycle within our world. In our topic of ecology and environmental science, we explore the process of food chains, the passing of energy from organisms and food webs, and the integration of multiple food chains to show a web of passing energy within an ecosystem. Before we dive deeper into the exciting wonders of food chains, we have to understand what type of organisms there are. Each individual organism can be classified as an autotroph or a heterotroph. Autotrophs are organisms that create their own food, for example plants, while heterotrophs get their energy from other organisms such as most animals.
Before learning the complex integration of the food web, one must first understand a food chain and the basis of this representation. Many food chains follow a food pyramid. The first passer of energy is always the sun. The sun's energy is passed to a primary producer, most often photosynthetic organisms such as plants, moving their energy to primary consumers, which are often herbivores, organisms that eat plants.
Next are secondary consumers. They primarily consume primary consumers' energy and are generally carnivorous, though some food chains beg to disagree. Other food chains have additional levels, such as tertiary and quaternary consumers. These are often known as apex predators, or are at the top of the food chain with no natural predators within the chain/web. Now there's an outlier, decomposers. As the name suggests, they decompose dead organic waste and material. Sir!
What?
Who do you give your energy to?
I'm the sun, and I give all my energy to all photosynthetic organisms.
Who are you, and who do you give your energy to?
I'm phytoplankton and I give 10% of my energy to frogs.
Ma'am, who are you?
I'm the frog.
Are you willing to donate 10% of your energy?
Yes.
Sir, who are you?
I'm a small fish, a secondary consumer.
Are you willing to donate 10% of your energy to big fish?
Sure.
Sir, who are you?
I'm a big fish, a tertiary consumer.
Are you willing to give 10% of your energy to eagles?
No,
That's
never.
too bad.
The next tier of this topic are food webs, which are representations of an area's ecosystem. In other words, almost every imaginable food chain within an area compressed into one web. From each food chain, a food web can be turned into a food pyramid, where each trophic level represents each primary, secondary, tertiary, quaternary, etc. organism in each food chain. As energy is passed along, it gets lost and used by the previous organism. This is represented by the 10% rule, meaning that only 10% of energy gets passed on to the next level, with the other 90% being lost as heat.
Wildlife is all of the wild animals in a region, such as birds, insects, and foxes. They're essential because they help maintain a healthy ecosystem by helping pollinate, maintain soil health, and much more. But what happens if this animal is introduced from a different region? In some cases, this introduction is neutral or maybe beneficial, yet this is uncommon. Invasive species are defined as a non-native species that causes harm to the environment, economy, or human and animal plant life.
When invasive species are introduced into an ecosystem, they can disrupt it in a variety of ways. Through their lack of natural predators and rapid reproduction, they can overpopulate the ecosystem, making them the biggest population, unlike the apex predators or the plants that should be there. They can also disrupt the ecosystem by eating the other plants and not providing enough food to the predators. There have been methods to prevent invasive species though, such as land and plant prevention, which avoid planting non-native species or fast-spreading species which can outnumber the existing species in the ecosystem.
This has been known to bring along unwanted guests into peaceful environments, and following regulations help us prevent new invasive species coming into areas. Additionally, be responsible with pets and releasing them into the wild can help prevent an imbalance in the ecosystem. Lastly, communication with the local wildlife agencies and removal projects can spread awareness into the right individuals and help educate others and prevent future explosions in invasive species. My name is Queen Solenopsis invicta. Get ready with me to be an invasive species. My favorite thing about taking over an ecosystem is I don't have many natural predators there. As a queen ant, I have first-hand experience with how great this is. I get to have my many children without much threat of predation. This is my favorite dirt powder because it helps me through rain, shine, heat, and everything else, all the other weathers. So it supports me migrating to a wide variety of places and ecosystems. Speaking of moving, my species originally came to the United States from South America in the 1930s through hiding on cargo ships. Even though I was introduced to Alabama, my species has such a aggressive spread and environmental tolerance. We traveled down here to Texas in like 1 to 10 years. I used to be able to fly like whenever I wanted, but then I met this guy on one of my mating trips, and now I'm grandborn. This is because like my species, whenever we find a mate, we like rip off our wings or whatever so we can like be in one area and make lots of colonies in that one area.
I'm passing the phone to the mother of the colony.
I'm the mother of the colony, personally laying thousands of eggs every day in order to populate my colony. I also influence the roles of my children, determining whether they turn into soldiers, workers, or new queens. I emit pheromones, regulating behavior and development of ants in my colony. As a reward for my work, I live the longest, up to 7 years. And I don't have to worry about menial tasks like ensuring my next meals or whatever, because I get taken care of by the colony. Passing the phone to the ant who finds my delicious meals.
As the worker ant, it's my job to do everything for the colony. I'm the one who goes out and forages for food, following scents to find resources to bring back to the others. I do this in the early morning when it's not too warm to be away for hours. Throughout the day, I'm the babysitter of the colony, taking care of the eggs, larvae, and pupa. I feed and clean them and make sure they live in the best conditions possible. When I'm not taking care of the young, I dig tunnels and repair damaged sections, making sure free travel is possible. Then, later in the evening, I go out and forage once again, bringing home dinner for the colony. I'm passing the phone to the laziest person in the colony.
Unlike the worker ant, I don't do much. I stay in the colony waiting for my time to shine. When the time comes, I'll leave with the other drones in the nuptial flight with my one and only person. If I'm lucky enough to outcome the other drones, I'll get to mate with the queen, ensuring I leave a legacy and passed out my genetic material. Then I died, living a life well fulfilled. I'm passing the phone to the person keeping our colony safe.
As the soldier ant, I'm the fearless protector, making sure no unwanted organisms come into our colony. I'm also using my large head and strong teeth to guard the entrance to the colony. Sometimes, I also patrol the outer perimeter, monitoring for potential threats to the security of this colony. If the disastrous day happens where an intruder forces their way through, I'll lead the charge against them, using my powerful jaw and stings to fend them off, even if it means my death.
Welcome to tonight's game show, and my name is Damir Diedukhov. Today's game show is about invasive species. Please stop the video whenever needed to let the students answer the questions. For the first question on our list, in the food web we discussed, as you can see here, what would happen if a disease wiped out the small fish, and how would it affect the other organisms? For our second question, we have, what are 2 reasons invasive species are successful? For the third question, identify the difference between autotrophs and heterotrophs. Now in complete sentences, for question 2, explain the 10% rule. For question 5, list 2 ways to prevent invasive species. Now please identify the parts of the energy pyramid for question 6. Question 7, what are apex predators? For question 8, please identify 1 producer in this forest ecosystem. For question 9, identify 1 carnivore in this forest ecosystem. Question 10, identify an invasive species that can be discussed or not discussed in the video. For question 11, why on the energy pyramid is the first trophic level larger than the later ones? For question 11, what is the role of decomposers in the ecosystem? For question 13, what is the difference between a food chain and a food web? For question 14, what starts every food chain or web? And last but not least, what are some ways invasive species disrupt the ecosystem?
I'm Ranger Burke, and these are ways that you can prevent the spread of invasive species in John State Forest. 1. Don't release any aquarium plants or animals into the wild.
Hi, I'm Parker Pete. 2. If you ever plan on owning an exotic pet, make sure you do your research and make sure you are able to commit to owning an exotic pet.
3. Volunteer at any natural area to remove invasive species.
4. Prioritize clean gear and avoid moving any firewood. Additionally, if there are any sightings of any invasive species, contact your local wildlife areas to ensure that removal is effective.
These are some additional rules. Opt in for native species when landscaping.
Don't release any unwanted pets or plants into your wildlife area.
Educate yourself and your friends about the invasive species in your area to provide awareness.
This is Ranger Rick,
And this is Parker Pete.
and make sure that you follow these guidelines to prevent any further spread of invasive species.
Thank you for watching.
variety of harmful ways. They are responsible for disrupting the balance of the ecosystem, disrupting the natural order of things. I have to memorize the last half. Or they can balance predators. Shoot, what should I say? What should I?
Vendo xereca fala. E o pedido veio do brabo, veio do Talibã. Veio do brabo, veio do Talibã. Get out, get out, get out, get out.